quiet modern kitchen, where shadows gently dance across a jar, holding ancient secrets. Look closer at this tiny seed. Observers will not see a simple spice. They find survival. Beneath these pale green ridges lies a power that fueled an empire, quietly waiting. The story begins on unforgiving shores, where fierce winds batter the rocky earth, relentlessly shaping life. Only the most resilient flora survives, standing tall against the salty ocean breeze, refusing to die. These golden flowers bloom in defiance, hiding a potent defense within their core, a bitter resilience. From fragile petals emerge tough shields, locking away intense oils beneath hardened ridges, protecting the future. Early wanderers discovered this strange plant, tasting the sweetness that numbed their mouths, curing their pain. A single crush releases the magic. Anethol compounds explode into the dry air, awakening the senses. Soon the advancing legions arrived here, seeking a way to sustain long marches, desperate for energy. They stripped the stalks without mercy, packing fragrant seeds into tight leather pouches, claiming nature's prize. The blazing sun drained their strength, leaving empty stomachs to burn in pain, demanding sheer endurance. Food was scarce on the frontier, so they chewed the rigid seeds instead, seeking sweet relief. Around the dim fires they sat, letting the oil trick their starving brains, creating fake fullness. The bitter crunch silenced the body, masking the pain of a tired soldier, forging a weapon. To understand this enduring power, observers must look closely at the barren earth, where life fights fiercely. The roots dig deep into the rock, searching blindly for hidden drops of water, refusing to simply fade away. Violent storms frequently wash over these plains, punishing every fragile stem without any mercy, testing their ancient endurance. Yet the rigid grooves channel the rain, drawing life directly into its hardened core, storing energy for tomorrow. When the brutal sun finally returns, the plant seals its moisture deep inside, transforming water into potent oil. Delicate golden crowns bloom under the heat, masking a complex chemical factory within, silently brewing a bitter weapon. Nature leaves these bitter stalks entirely alone. Animals instinctively avoid the intense numbing flavor, ensuring the seeds survive. Inside the curved shell lies anethol, a powerful compound that confuses the living brain, suppressing the natural urge. As autumn winds dry the dying stems, the green seeds turn a pale brown, locking the magic away. Each fallen grain is a sleeping vault, holding concentrated energy meant for future generations, waiting to be discovered. Primitive gatherers recognize this strange, enduring trait, crushing the harvest beneath their rough stones, inhaling the sharp fragrance. The heavy stones shatter the protective walls, releasing a thick mist of sweet oil, filling the arid air. It was not cultivated for mere taste, but for its mysterious ability to heal, soothing the tired flesh. A bowl of seeds meant absolute survival, offering temporary strength when the crops failed, keeping the weak alive. This humble wild plant held incredible value, and soon a rising empire took notice, preparing for endless war. The Roman war machine required endless fuel, expanding across vast and unforgiving territories, demanding impossible logistics. Inside weathered leather pouches lay a secret, carried closely by every exhausted legionary, protecting the precious seeds. Supply wagons often failed on muddy roads, leaving the marching soldiers incredibly hungry, far from home. Bronze scales weighed the bitter survival rations, carefully distributing the vital dried herbs, treating them like gold. Commanders noticed a strange and unexpected phenomenon. Soldiers chewing the wild harvest endured, marching without any complaints. A single seed crushed between dirty teeth releases a potent wave of oil, instantly tricking the stomach. Through blazing deserts and frozen mountain passes, the army moved like a ghost, sustained by an illusion. Hunger pangs dissolve into a strange numbness, masking the severe damage within muscles. A dangerous biological trick. Around campfires, they shared the bitter grains, trading stories of distant Roman streets, trying to forget hunger. The flickering flames illuminate the grooved shells, shadows dancing across the tiny ridges, hiding the impending exhaustion. When battle horns echoed across the valleys, they fought with completely empty bellies, fueled only by adrenaline, a grip tightening around the cold iron, while the tongue savors the bitterness, replacing fear with focus. It became the invisible shield of Rome, a humble weed conquering savage lands, building an eternal legacy. Seeds fell silently into the foreign dirt, quietly planting the footprint of conquerors, leaving a fragrant trail. The empire marched heavily upon its stomach, but the stomach was utterly empty, sustained by sweet lies. The Roman commanders calculated every step. Securing long supply lines was truly vital for the grand conquest. Inside the heavy sacks rested the humble treasure, protected heavily by the exhausted Roman guards, fueling the great expansion. The endless lines of marching men never stopped, boots crushing the dry and barren earth, moving toward the horizon. A single handful of fennel provided necessary strength, allowing bodies to push past natural limits, ignoring the empty stomach. Entire battalions moved silently through the misty valleys, fully sustained by the magic of seeds, conquering without any food. The intricate network of Roman supply lines expanded, bringing heavy sacks to the distant frontiers, ensuring the ultimate victory. Officers carefully documented the distribution on wax tablets, recording every precious ounce of bitter ration, preserving the military secret. No other spice held such terrifying strategic value, feeding illusions of energy to exhausted men, creating an unstoppable force. The texture of the seed became painfully familiar, pressed firmly between dry and cracked teeth, releasing the numbing oil. Through heavy rain and thick mud, they advanced, carrying the small green shields of survival, defying the cruel nature. The bitter flavor mixed heavily with metallic blood, masking the terrible reality of dark battlefields, keeping the soldiers fighting. In the capital, senators praised the grand victories, blind to the humble seed's ultimate sacrifice, celebrating the glorious empire. The cartwheels carved deep tracks into mud, leaving behind a trail of bitter spices, marking the conquering path. It was a brilliant logistical masterpiece of war, substituting heavy food with a chemical illusion, stretching the vast borders. As the sun sets on the bleeding continent, fennel harvests rest quietly within leather pouches, ready for another march. The empire reached its glorious zenith, stretching vastly across the known world, driven by silent starvation. Borders expanded faster than ever before, consuming endless nations with absolute greed, leaving a trail of ash. Far from the cheering city streets, silent soldiers stood in ruined fields, facing their ultimate limits. Heavy leather boots cracked the earth, carrying broken bodies through endless suffering, bound by an oath. Ruthless commanders demanded impossible daily marches, pushing human endurance past natural breaking points, sacrificing countless young lives. The vital supply pouches grew light, revealing the bottom of the sack, signaling a terrifying reality. Harsh winds stripped away their pride, leaving only hollow vessels marching blindly, sustained by pure desperation. Muscle and bone began to wither, hidden beneath layers of heavy armor, masked by the bitter spice. Many fell silently along the road, leaving their bones in foreign soil, forgotten by the great empire. The tiny green seeds fell down, sinking deeply into the bloody mud, soaking up human sorrow. Monuments rose high into the sky, built upon the backs of starving men, hiding a fragile truth. Glorious words were carved in stone, erasing the memory of bitter survival, rewriting history with pure gold. Nobles feasted on exotic, distant luxuries, drinking wine from heavy silver cups, completely blind to the suffering. The survival spice became a garnish, sprinkled carelessly onto rich roasted meats, losing its sacred military purpose. But illusions cannot sustain an empire, and the chemical trick finally faded, bringing the inevitable dark collapse. The illusion of fullness finally breaks, revealing an army completely broken and exhausted, a devastating historical truth. A single soldier grasps his empty stomach, feeling the deep, agonizing pain return intensely. the bitter magic dies. Entire legions halted their grand imperial march, collapsing upon the harsh and unforgiving dirt, defeated by simple biology. The small seeds scatter across cold stones, no longer hiding the brutal human starvation, slipping from dead fingers. Massive imperial borders began to slowly crumble, unable to defend the deeply exhausted frontiers, falling to rising barbarians. A cracked bronze helmet rests completely silently, slowly filled by creeping vines and leaves. Nature reclaims the conqueror. The great Roman Empire slowly burned down, leaving endless smoke trails across the continent, marking the final collapse. Yet the humble wild plant silently survived, digging deep roots into the bloodied soil, feeding on human sorrow. Century after century, the cold wind blew, carrying the tiny green offspring across nations, spreading without any armies. Wild fennel grew heavily over forgotten graves, turning ancient battlegrounds into bright golden fields. A deeply ironic memorial. Surviving villages faced terribly harsh new winters, desperate for warmth in the dark times, seeking the old magic. Peasant hands harvest the tall wild stalks, seeking comfort rather than strength for war, boiling the fragrant oils. The bitter seeds entered quiet, humble homes, simmering over small fires to calm children, bringing gentle peace instead. The harsh anethole slowly softened in water, releasing a sweet mist, easing painful cramps, transforming into gentle medicine. From the brutal and terrifying war ruins, a remedy quietly blossomed across the lands, healing the broken world. Behind thick stone walls, monks cultivated their quiet green sanctuaries, preserving the ancient knowledge safely. Faded ink on parchment described the sweet and bitter properties, guarding the herbal secrets forever. In the quiet morning fog, robed figures gathered the tall, yellow umbels, chanting softly in harmony. Heavy marble crushes the harvest, releasing a sweet vapor into the air, bringing deep healing. A dim room filled with sick travelers seeking refuge from freezing winter winds, hoping for relief. Warm amber liquid drops down, soothing sharp pains of an empty stomach, restoring human strength. Soon merchants carried the dried spice, trading bags across bustling medieval towns, awakening a peaceful economy. Silver coins drop onto wood, purchasing small handfuls of precious green harvest, valuing life over conquest. Warm stone ovens baked fresh breads, mixing bitter seeds into sweet morning dough, changing the culinary world. Golden crust cracks open softly, revealing grooved seeds buried inside warm dough, smelling absolutely divine. Brave wooden ships prepared to sail, carrying humble spice toward newly discovered lands, crossing endless oceans. A brass compass points firmly north, resting beside a bowl of dried seeds, guiding the lost. Grand Renaissance feasts celebrated new tastes, sprinkling crushed harvest upon roasted exotic meats, celebrating a vibrant life. Fine aromatic dust settles perfectly, hiding dark histories of Roman military conquest, becoming a pure delicacy. The violent past completely dissolved, leaving a fragrant whisper across vast global kitchens, resting peacefully today. Today the vast empire is gone, but this tiny seed remains forever immortal, resting very quietly. People walk past the stalls blindly, unaware of the bloody historical survival cost, buying simple flavors. The grand Roman columns have fallen, while the wild botanical roots dig deeper, claiming absolute victory. No emperor ever conquered time itself. Yet this humble, bitter weed survived everything, outlasting iron swords. Elegant restaurants serve delicate gourmet dishes, masking a deeply savage and desperate origin, plating visual art. The grooved shell is finely roasted, releasing familiar oils into the modern air, completely transforming taste. Generations consume the ancient survival medicine without feeling the haunting hunger of soldiers. A true luxury. A chemical illusion saved whole armies and now brings joy to family dinners, completing its journey. Look deeply into the spice rack, recognizing a silent witness of global conquest, sitting perfectly still. Those distinct green ridges hold history, storing memories of thousands of marching boots, echoing through time. The harsh winds of the Mediterranean finally calmed down inside this small kitchen, ending the war. Its bitter magic is now tamed, serving the living instead of the dying. A beautiful redemption. No more marching on empty stomachs, bringing sweet warmth to a quiet home, safely preserved forever. The story of survival slowly fades, leaving behind nothing but a simple flavor in complete silence. So remember the grand ancient legions? When tiny bitter seeds touch the tongue, their eternal legacy.